those who have joined, you people write your name in the chat box and write your name dash and your department because still the LMS not working. So write your name in the chat box.
What happened in LMS, ma'am?
The transformer is burned in the college since last 5 days. So people who are residing in college, all of us, they are not getting the minimum electricity also for longer hours. So obviously the server will be down. So since the server is down, the LMS is not working.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, so before starting off with the next chapter, we will be doing some question answer session where I will be asking a few basic questions, and any one of you who can answer, please tell the answer so that I will understand that at least majority of people have understood what has been taught in the last class. And if someone doesn't know the answer, the person who is answering, he may listen and also get an idea. So, like if it is asked that which data structure is defined as a collection of similar data elements. So, out of the data structures which you people have studied, what will be your answer? Anyone, which data structure is defined as a
Array.
collection array, right? If I am saying that which data structure is used in hierarchical data model?
Tree.
Okay. And in a stack, insertion is done at which end?
Last in, first out.
No, money. I mean
Up. Up मतलब up ऊपर से मैम.
top, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So the position in a queue from which suppose an element is deleted, that position is called what?
Top.
No, with respect to queue, that is not called top. With respect to queue,
Inserting. No.
no. Queue had two ends.
Overflow, ma'am. Top.
No, no, no. I am saying the position in a queue from where an element is deleted. Queue has both ends. One end we were referring as front, another end we were referring as
Front
rear.
and end.
So insertion happens at which end, front or rear?
Front.
Okay,
Front.
right. And if I say that which data structure has this fixed size concept, they are of fixed size.
Ma'am, array.
Right. And suppose if I say that my top is equal to max minus 1. So this will indicate what? My stack is empty or my stack is full. If
Ma'am,
if
stack is full.
stack
Stack is full, ma'am.
right, fine. So the number of maximum elements I have, so that index location is 1 minus of that. If top is that, that means our stack is full. So and we referred as LIFO to which data structure?
Ma'am, stack.
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 And which data structure is used to represent suppose complex relationship between the different nodes?
Ma'am, ये graph.
Right. And give me 2 or 3 examples of linear data structure.
Ma'am, array, linked list.
Then
LL,
Q. Array.
or stack,
Ma'am,
right?
stack.
Right. And if I say suppose I have a linear time algorithm, I have a linear time algorithm, and
Ma'am, Q.
then the running time complexity of a linear time algorithm will be in order of linear, not constant. Here what will I write?
N.
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 Right. And suppose which notation among the big O, big omega, big theta, it says about a strict upper bound? Which is the strict upper bound?
Omega, ma'am.
Omega.
Big O, ma'am. Big O. Ma'am, theta. Hey. Big O, ma'am.
Big O, right? Upper bound of any function is big O. मतलब worst case में वो maximum कितना time लेगा? That gives us the upper bound. It's the big O. Lower bound है omega. ठीक है?
Omega.
And so suppose I am writing as this: Fn, it is greater than that of C dot Gn. So this is the representation of which asymptotic notation?
Ma'am, omega. Big omega.
Big omega, right? Big omega is also written as omega. Okay, and big theta is also referred as theta. So for omega, we will say it simply as omega and then simply as theta. But in case of O, we will only say big O. So big O, omega, theta. These are the 3 asymptotic notations. And yes, this is the example of omega, right? Acha. So if it is said that these trees and graphs, they are example of linear data structure, is it true or false?
No, ma'am. True.
Ma'am,
False.
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 Fine.
False.
And if I say Q is a FIFO data structure, is it true or false?
True, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
True, ma'am.
True, right? So the first one who gets in the queue will get the ticket first. This is the concept, right? Yes, it's definitely a FIFO data structures. So if I say that trees can represent any kind of complex relationship between the nodes, true or false?
False, ma'am.
So which is the data structure which is used to represent complex relationships?
Graph.
Graph.
So this average case running time of an algorithm, it is an upper bound on the running time of for any input. True or false? It's an upper bound. Average case running.
Ma'am, repeat.
Average case running time of an right, false. Average case running time of an algorithm is not an upper bound for any input, right? So it's a false. It's an average bound for any input. And if I say that array is an abstract data type,
True, ma'am.
no, right? So abstract.
True, ma'am.
नहीं, true नहीं है, false है.
कैसे मैम?
Array is not an abstract data type. Array forms the basic, like using array and linked list, we make the two abstract data types, that is stack and queue. So stack
Okay मैम,
and
okay.
queue are example of abstract data types. And for building the stack and queue, we have two basic data types. Those are arrays and linked list. So array is not an abstract data type, but stack and queues are abstract data types which are implemented using the basic data types, that is array and linked list. Clear? And
Yes ma'am.
Yes.
suppose array elements are stored in continuous memory locations. It is true or false?
True, ma'am.
True.
True.
And this pop operation in a stack, it adds an element to the top of the stack.
False.
False,
False.
right?
False.
It deletes an element, right?
Delete.
And this graph have a parent to child relationship between their nodes.
False.
False.
True.
True. Graph
मैम
has
false.
parent, right?
Tree मैम
False.
tree का
False.
होता है
False.
parents and children
हाँ, right.
relation.
ट्री का होता है पेरेंट एंड चाइल्ड. ग्राफ का किसी नोड के साथ किसी नोड का रिलेशनशिप हो
Yes.
सकता है. दैट डजंट फॉलो एनी स्ट्रिक्ट.
इसीलिए तो मैम वो कॉम्प्लेक्स ये देने के लिए.
Right, right. So if I talk about this worst case running time of algorithm, it is a lower bound on the running time of any input. Worst case running time.
No ma'am, it is upper bound.
Upper bound, ma'am.
And if I write this, it means the best case or worst case.
Best case.
Best case.
Best case, right. And if I write this,
मैम worst case ना मैम, ओमेगा तो worst case के लिए होता है ना.
नहीं, ओमेगा तो बेस्ट केस.
मैम
Big O.
कल तो आप लिख ही थे, बिग ओ जो है वो बेस्ट केस के लिए.
बीगो हम बेस्ट केस के लिए लिखे थे.
Worst
मैम
case के लिए, ma'am.
हमने स्क्रीन पे वही देखे थे मैम.
बीगो तो वर्स्ट केस के लिए ही हम लिखेंगे, बेस्ट केस के लिए नहीं लिख सकेंगे, क्योंकि बीगो हमें अपर बाउंड देता है. अपर बाउंड मतलब वर्स्ट केस सिनेरियो में वो एल्गोरिदम एग्जीक्यूट होने के लिए मैक्सिमम कितना टाइम लेगा. तो अगर मैक्सिमम कितना टाइम लेगा वर्स्ट केस दे रहा है, मतलब बीगो हमें वर्स्ट केस दे रहा है. और ओमेगा देता है कि बेस्ट केस में सबसे
Minimum
कम
time.
कम समय में हमें एल्गोरिदम कैसे एग्जीक्यूट करेगा. तो सबसे कम समय मतलब क्या है? सबसे इजी इनपुट के लिए, सबसे बेस्ट इनपुट के लिए. तो ओमेगा हमेशा
Yes,
बेस्ट
ma'am.
केस देगा और थीटा हमें एवरेज देता है कि बेस्ट और वर्स्ट
Yes,
के
ma'am.
एवरेज में कितना होता है. ठीक है. कभी कभी किसी एल्गोरिथम्स में ये भी होता है कि हमारा जो वर्स्ट केस है एंड एवरेज केस है, both have the same value. That was in linear search only. Both have been in the order of n. Worst case में भी best average case के भी ये हो सकता है, but best and worst case में हमेशा difference रहेगा. ठीक है. Okay. So these are the small brush ups which I wanted to do, and I would expect from next class कि जो लोग एकदम चुप करके बैठे थे, please they should also interact. So I only saw 2 to 3 people voices interacting and giving the answers. So this class is for 60 people. So rest of you should also answer, because it's for you also to study and to get the knowledge. Anyway, so today we will start off with our next topic, that is array. Okay. So suppose we have 20 students in our class, and we have been asked to write a program that reads and prints the marks of all these 20 students. So if suppose basic, एकदम बेसिक से अगर स्टार्ट करते हैं, we will need 20 integer variables. We will need 20 integer variables with 20 different names, right? So for reading this 20 variables, we will have 20 read statements also, that is 20 scanf, 20 printf, like this. So To read the 20 variables, we will have 20 scanf statements. To print the 20 variables, will we have another 20 printed statements. So if it is just a matter of 20 variables, then it might be acceptable to the user to follow this approach. That is 20 एलिमेंट्स को रिप्रेजेंट करने के लिए हम लोग 20 वेरिएबल्स लेंगे. But this is not practical if you suppose you want to register 100 students in a course, then you want to register 500 students in a college, then you want to register 10,000 students in a university. So for that this approach is not there. So to process a large amount of data, we needed a data structure. That data structure is known as array. So to process large amount of similar type of data, that is collection of similar type of data, we needed a data structure, and we needed one concept, that is using something we can take all the values at a time and we can print all the values together at one time. So we needed that concept also. So we know that array is a collection of similar data elements, and these data elements, they have the same data type, and the elements of the array, they are stored in consecutive memory locations, and they are referred as index or subscript. Okay. So subscript is that number which is used to identify an element of an array. So suppose I have some array like this, and there are a few elements like this. Okay. So here the subscript is 0, here the subscript is 1, like so on. So if I want to refer to this element 7, I can use it using the subscript 1. So subscript or index are those values which are used to identify the element in our array. Okay. And when we use a variable, we have seen that we need to declare that variable. Suppose in our C program, I want to use the variable p. So I need to declare it also, like int p, right? Similarly, the same concept holds true for array variables also. So an array must be declared before being used. So declaring an array means we need to specify the data type of the array. The data type means the kind of values the array will handle or the array will store. We need to give a name to my array so that I can identify that what is my array name. So I need to give a name to my array, and also I need to specify the size of my array, that is the maximum number of elements this array can hold. So three things I need to declare whenever I will want to use one array. So the declaration part will be something like this: data type, name, and then in third bracket, size. So suppose and this data type can be anything. It can be int, it can be character, it can be float, it can be double. And this number will always indicate that the maximum number of elements the array can store. So it may happen that at runtime I am giving only 4 elements, but my array can store 10 elements. So it's not a problem. I can do that. I have taken more space. So depending that whether in future it may happen that I may require more space. So I have taken more space, but I am using lesser space to store this element. So it may happen. So suppose I want to store marks of 10 students, and this marks will be in integers. Suppose this marks will be in integer. So I can define my array like this. I am giving the name of the array as marks, and I am defining the data type, and suppose I will be storing maximum 10 students marks. So I have been declaring my array like this. So what will it do? Once I declare my array, in the memory 10 spaces will be allocated first. once I declare my array size to be of 10, in the memory 10 consecutive places will be booked, or it will be booked, and the name of this array since marks, and my index will start from 0, so this location will mean marks 0, this location will mean marks 1, this location will mean marks 2. So like this it will go on till marks 9, right? So this is the memory representation of these 10 elements in my array, right? So here I can use any data type, here I can give any name according to my convention, here I can give any size according to my convention. If I give 5, it will allocate 5 spaces. If I give 10, it will allocate 10 spaces. If I get 15, it will allocate 15 spaces. And these indexes will start from 0. So for 15, it will be 0 to 14. For 5, it will be 0 to 4. And for 10, it will be 0 to 9. This is the concept about how we declare any array. Next is, how do we access the elements of an array? So it would have been better if there would have been a single function that can operate on all the elements of an array, but but uh, but there is no such single function that is using that function we can operate on all the elements of an array. So to access the elements of an array, we use a loop. Okay. So we use a for loop, to be more precise, in order to access the elements of an array. We can use any other loops also, but it is seen that using this for loop, it helps us and it makes our programming easier. So we use this for loop. So in order to access all the elements, we need to vary the value of the subscript. First, if I use 0, it will access the first element. Then I use the index 1, it will access the next element. If I use the index 2, it will access my next element. So we are knowing that by varying the index, we will varying the value of the index, of the value of the subscript, we can access the next to next to next different elements in my array. Okay. So suppose, right? Now, what does this section of code will do? So, in the first line, we have declared int marks 10. That means there will be one array whose name is marks, and there will be 10 spaces. 1, 2. So, there will be 10 spaces. This subscript is 0. This is 1. This is 2, 3, right? And I have taken a counter named I. That counter will start from 0. That is, that counter will start from 0th value, that is this location, and it will continue till I less than 10, that is till I equal to 9, that is from 0 to 9, that is entire range of the array. it will continue, and in the process it will go on incrementing by 1 I plus plus, and in the meantime each and every location I will be filling with this value, that is minus 1. It may happen. So suppose for the first time I am starting I is equal to 0. My I is equal to 0. First case. So I is pointing to 0th location. Fine. Then I will check my condition. 0 is less than 10. Is 0 less than 10? Yes, true. So I will
Yes, madam.
enter and I will put marks I. That means marks 0. This location I will fill with the value minus 1. So I will fill with this value minus 1. Then I will do what? I will do I plus plus. So now my I will be 1. Right? So now my I will point over here. 1. Again I will check. Is 1 less than 10? Yes, 1 is less than 10. So I will enter into this loop and I will do the work. That is, I will set marks of I. I is now 1. Marks of one location as minus 1. So the next I am setting as minus 1. Again I will do I plus plus, go back. So I will be now my 2. So I will now point to this location. So 2 is less than 10. Yes, 2 is less than 10. I will again entry. So I will do marks. Position 2 will be minus 1. So this position I will do minus 1. Again I will go back I plus plus, that is I will be my 3. So like this we will go on, go on, go on, and I will be filling up all the cells with minus 1. Suppose what will happen when I will reach the last step? Suppose there will be one step now where I will be 9. So I will point to this location. Then I will check 9 is less than 10. Yes, true. So I will enter. I will set marks of 9th location as minus 1. So here I will entry minus 1. And again I will go back. That is I will be my plus plus. That is I will be my 10. Right? So once my I is 10, I will check the condition. 10 is less than 10. No. So once my condition is false, it will come out of this loop. So once it will come out of this loop, it will skip this statement. It will come up to the next statement. So suppose in the below statement, I have used a printf statement in order to print all the values in my array which I have entered. So it will directly skip this statement because it will come out of this loop and it will go to the next statement to execute. So in the meantime, I will have all my index values to be filled with minus 1. So is this concept clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So the for loop is used. First, we always use a counter where we set the counter which will indicate our 0th location because our array will start from 0th index. So each and every time we put something or we access something, we increment the value of this counter and this will indicate our next location in an array, and then whatever work we want to do on the next location we do that. So like this we proceed till our array is endings or whatever it is demanding from us about this program. So there is no single statement that can read, access or print all the elements of an array. In order to do this, we use a loop in order to execute the same statement with different index values. So the example with which I started, so I need to store marks of 20 students. I will be here replacing 10 by 20, and so my all the marks will be stored. If I want to store marks of 520 students, I will be replacing here with 520. So using only
Yes, ma'am.
one line only, I will get to execute all the things. But if I would have used separate integers, I would have declared first 20, then 520 like this. So it's not feasible. So this is the concept why we use the concept of array. Okay. Now next is how do we calculate this array?
मैम
Bolo.
मैम सिर्फ लूप में हम लोग फॉर लूप ही यूज करेंगे, while और do while नहीं यूज करेंगे।
While और do while भी use कर सकते हो, but it has been seen that for loop is the easiest to execute and get our job done when it comes to accessing or doing any operation on an array. ऐसा होता
ओके
नहीं
मैम।
है, एक काम सॉल्व करने के लिए तो बहुत सारा तरीका होता है। तो in order to solve any problem you can use any type of solution you want to use, but if you use for loop, तुम खुद ही करके देखना, for loop में जो एक लाइन में ऐसे हो जा रहे,
यस मैम, इजीएस्ट होता है लूप में, सबसे ज्यादा इजीएस्ट फॉर लूप ही होता है।
हाँ नहीं, डू वाइल लूप्स भी इजी,
सबसे
लूप के
कॉम्प्लिकेटेड डू
हिसाब
वाइल।
से डू वाइल लूप भी इजी है। ऐसा नहीं है कि डू वाइल डिफिकल्ट है, बट इफ यू वांट टू यूज दिस कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ एरे, एरे के लिए फॉर लूप इज द इजीएस्ट सॉल्यूशन। सो दैट्स व्हाई इट इज सीन दैट फॉर लूप भी यूज होता है हमेशा। ओके,
ओके मैम, ओके मैम।
so we need to first calculate the address of an element in an array. Acha, those who have still not given their attendance, you people please write your name in the chat box along with your department. Okay. I will explain. I will be explaining this formula also. First, let us see this formula and see what are the different things that are named. So, in order to calculate an address of any data element, suppose in our array, by A, I am meaning just the name of the array. I am representing that this is my array, okay? And K is the index of that location for which I want to find out the address. That is, this marks 0, marks 1, marks 2. These are the index location. So I will find out that what is the memory location of my marks 4, fourth index in my array. So that index is the value of K. So whatever element we needed to find out, suppose it is given find the value of this location. So this is my index 4. So that is the value of K, index of element which we want to calculate the address of. Now BA stands for base address of the array. By base address means we will be always provided with one address from where my array has been started, that is from where my marks 0th location has started, one address will be there. That address from where my array has started, that is the base address. Okay, this W is the size of an element. Size of an element means if my array is of integer types, the size of each element is 2 bytes. If my array is of character, the size of the element is 1 byte. So depending on what type of data types my array handles, if it is integer, this w value will be 2. If it is character, this w value will be 1. So like this, w is the size of each element. Then again we have the k as our the index with which we want to count, and lower bound will always be 0, because for array we always start from 0th location. So is this formula understood to all? The basic notation
Yes, ma'am.
of this formula?
मैम वो W के बगल में जो ब्रैकेट में वो नहीं समझ में आया.
W के बाद जो ब्रैकेट के है तुम्हारा, जिस इंडेक्स तुम सर्च कर रहे हो, इफ यू आर टोल्ड दैट फाइंड द एड्रेस ऑफ दिस लोकेशन, so this is the value of k will be 4. So this here 4 I will put, I am going to find out the array of 4th location, so here I will put 4 minus lower bound. Lower bound means my array starts from 0th location, so lower bound index is 0, so 4 minus 0, like this.
मैम सिंपल W into इंडेक्स नंबर नहीं लिख सकते थे?
कभी कभी ये हो सकता है,
मैम
it is said
Ma'am?
that बोलो.
क्या एरे में लोअर बाउंड हमेशा 0 ही होगा अगर
हाँ, it
प्री
is
डिफाइंड
not
रहा कि एरे यहाँ से शुरू होकर यहाँ खत्म हो रहा?
No, it is not defined. It is not a must. You can customize your own array starting from 1th location also. You can customize your own array starting from 2nd location also. You can do that. But the thing is, if you follow the convention, this is the convention which is followed worldwide, that my array will start from 0th location. Why? Because it helps us in calculations, it saves our times in calculations and a lot of things. So that is why we always tend to start our
Yeah.
array from 0th location concept. But if you want, you can customize your array starting from 1th location. It is not a mandatory.
Okay.
Okay, then your the for loop which I just explained.